People are strange. Something strange.
Is that strange?
That is strange.
That is strange.
Wow, that is strange. This is strange.
And welcome back to another episode of Strange Sauna. Today is an absolute steamer because it is official. Flex. Flex is back, and he's back forever. Okay, he's an official co-host of Strange Sauna, and I couldn't be more happy, more proud. And we're going to dive down the rabbit hole, all these rabbit holes together.
Yes, we have. I do like to talk, as people know.
There we go.
So I got a lot to say. I signed a multi-year deal worth $1.25 Canadian.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that is in US.
I mean,
but I had a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun being on here, and I thought, the banter,
dude,
the rabbit holes,
for sure. And so I don't know. It's one of those things where the show by itself just isn't the same. I like to talk to somebody, not to myself.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I feel very, very strange just talking to a camera here. So
yeah,
I'm super excited. Today, we are going to be talking about what? What are we talking about here, Flex?
All right. The fake sun. Something has happened to our sun probably around April 8th. There's been a lot of people talking, and I've got some stories to tell on my end, and people I've talked to, and we got lots of evidence and stuff, but something happened with this April 8th eclipse that didn't make sense. And we're going to talk a lot about the sun simulator, what China's been doing, what NASA's been doing. It's all online. Stuff online we can find. We just have to look for it. I personally think the sun has been different since April. Some of my friends think it's, 2019. It's been a little bit different. But it ain't the same. And that's why you're here.
So it's like there was this massive buildup to this eclipse. And like the first eclipse, it was kind of like exciting. Everybody was like, oh, cool, we have an eclipse. And, they didn't really know what to expect back in 2017. But then, this last one, everybody's like, this is more biblical. It's almost like, things are like, there's like cities of like Salem, the cities of Salem that it's passing through, the totality, the earthquakes and all that crap. So it is kind of strange. I'm interested to hear about like why it would be fake though. So that's what I want to hear about.
Well, straight off the bat of my notes, why would it be fake? Why would they do this?
Yeah.
Control, baby. It's all about control. We look at it, they can control our air, our water, our food, our currency, education. There's a lot. We all know about weather modification and chemtrails. I think that's part of the reason why the sky looks a little different and the sun looks a little different. You're harvesting energy, which we talked about on our last show with the Trump assassination.
Yep.
It's all about harvesting energy.
The Trump assassination attempt, I should say.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well,
attempt.
I mean, we'll call it an attempt, but it was more of a theater.
Yeah. You can manipulate, weather patterns. There's even suggestion that it's hiding other celestial bodies out there and hiding maybe the Planet X and the Black Sun, which would be a completely different topic. We'll get into that maybe down the road. But there's a lot. There's a lot. And we know we don't trust a lot of shit that's gone on recently, especially the last 4 years. And the sun is something that can be easily manipulated. So I feel it's just completely a control thing.
So do you think eventually they would be able to harness the energy and then sell it as far as like carbon credit, like, hey, you're doing the right thing. It's more like a social credit score program type thing.
Yeah, it can definitely go down that route because we know all about the, Green New Deal here in Canada. We have the carbon tax, which is costing us tons of money.
Oh man.
And oh boy, it's brutal. And, but you still have Justin flying around on his plane and Taylor Swift flying around. So obviously it's all tied into all that because what they haven't been able to control right now is climate. So the whole fake sun and simulator and what I feel and what we'll talk about today, they've put around the sun, in front of the sun.
Oh yeah, dude.
Is something that, I feel has really impacted the way people look at the sun. So just preference before we get started, I'll use some of the experience I've had. I moved from Toronto, which is more on the east of Canada, to the west coast now in BC.
Okay.
And I noticed that the sun in the morning, afternoon, and evening is the same. It's a bright LED looking light bulb. There's no glow. There's no glow to it anymore.
Was it like that over on the East Coast or no?
It wasn't, but I was over in the East Coast before the eclipse happened.
Oh, okay.
Before the eclipse happened.
Because I will tell you, like the West Coast is known for its like dry heat. Not so much like Washington, Oregon, but like California is like freaking dry, bro. Compared to like Florida where it's like muggy.
Yes.
I don't know if it's like anything to do with the equator at all either. Did you get closer to the equator?
Not really. I'm almost parallel with it because Toronto's here and I moved across this way. And I'm as close to the border here in Kelowna, West Kelowna, BC. But I was noticing that when I was sitting out on my patio and it's covered, even back in April and May before summer started, I was getting blisters. I was wearing socks. I usually wear these thin pajamas when I'm chilling out. And a couple of my friends that live here saw how I would start itching. And I'm a sun worshiper. Like, listen, I'm Greek. I used to put on the baby oil.
Okay.
Tank tops.
You praise Apollo. Okay. I get
that's it. I was blistering up. And I just didn't understand why. And I spoke to a few people that I've become friends with here in Kelowna, and quite a few of them have said, yeah, the sun is very stingy. It's very itchy. The sun looks the same throughout the day, and I remember being here last summer, and I remember when I visited, the sun looked different when it was going down behind the mountain. It had a bit of an orange yellow glow to it. Now it's just this light bulb. It's literally a light bulb. And some of the videos that we're going to play today, people have talked about how it's just this light bulb, and it's like you can't gaze at it anymore. There's skin issues. And again, I don't know if they have it on and off all the time, because I've seen photos of people posting. There's a photo someone posted a sunset in Florida just last week, and that I have the video. It's actually it's Hulk Hogan watching the sunset. I'm a Hulk fan.
He's gonna rip his shirt off, baby.
It looked like my lights here. It was orange. I have not seen that this summer since I've been out here.
So I know we're going to get into some videos and stuff, and we're also going to talk about the artificial suns. So like they do create fake suns, everybody. Like there's patents out there. There's multiple countries creating artificial suns, and you have to ask why. Why are they making these things? Eventually, are they going to use this for the underground bases when they build their bunkers, like to keep everybody in an artificial sunlight situation in case the sun actually does go away? I don't know.
I mean, imagine what it can do to your crops. You can control crops in farming, to the point where you can devastate crops completely. It can harm our hormones. We need vitamin D. So this sun, if there's something in front of it, get out of there.
Sorry, my son's up.
That's okay. It's okay. And vitamin D, it's changing our hormones, and that's why there's all these. Take this vitamin D supplement. Pill form, liquid form. I guarantee you, Pfizer will end up coming out with some vitamin D vax because our sun is getting weaker. That's probably one of the excuses that they're using, that the sun is getting a little weaker. No, it's control. It's straight up control, and it's all about hiding God's creation.
Well, dude, and I can totally see it because the number one excuse for creating these fake suns or artificial suns is for climate change. That's the excuse. They're saying, we don't want to, because it's solar power, right? They want to go towards these cleaner energies, solar power, wind power, and all that stuff. So if we get away from oil, production and all that stuff, we're left with solar, and we need something to constantly generate solar power. So let's see what do you got there, dude?
Okay, so the first thing I've got here, Greg, is the NASA sun simulator. NASA took a patent out on a sun simulator, so I got just a little video here. So here we go, I'm going to play this.
Expected to exceed $8 billion in worth by 2022. So why would NASA need a sun simulator? Is it to hide a planet that is in our skies? Now, in researching this, it has been more effort than just a simple click of the mouse and watching a video. Eventually, though, I've joined the dots and found the real truth. Let's go to the patent in question. Patent number 3239660, which is the patent that is cited as proof of NASA's evil sun simulator, is viewable on NASA's technical report server as a PDF scan of the original document, and it can also be found on Google Patents, which is easier to read, so we'll use that. I recommend that you take the time to read this in its entirety to get a better understanding. But for now, the main points are that this section is the initial description of the invention. Then we go into more detail through this section, followed by this what is claimed section. If you take the time to read, you will see that this section mentions for use in conjunction with a test chamber, and it mentions a small window in the chamber. The next section.
So without getting too deep, this is all stuff you can find online. Like, they're not hiding any of this stuff. And I'm going to go to another part of the video where it actually talks about where it's located in the United States. So again, it's not like they're hiding this shit. It's right there. It's right there for you to see.
In regard to the many conspiracy channels that claim that this is a sun simulator, to which I say, you're right. It is a sun simulator. Sort of. Situated in Huntsville, Alabama, is NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center. This area here is part of the site are the heliostat mirror, a vacuum chamber, and a concentrator mirror. Look familiar?
Yes.
So here's how it works. The heliostat mirror, which is able to be angled to reflect the sun's light in the desired direction, is situated in this open area, and it reflects the sun's light about 50 meters across the field into the concentrator mirror, which is housed in this building. The mirror is made up of segments which are all set to beam the sun's light to a focal point, that being the window in the test chamber, which is positioned here in front of the mirror.
Dude, it's like absolutely nuts what they have going on here.
Yes. And what are people seeing now, Greg? I'll also stop sharing my screen here. So what people are saying now when they are using cameras and filming the sun is the sun is looking like it's got that hexagon pattern. So what we just saw with that reflector, people are seeing that. And some people are actually seeing a black dot in the middle of the sun as well, which they're saying is the black sun. But I personally think the sun simulator is in front. So the sun simulator, I live over here. That's why it's not that they're covering up the sun completely.
So it's blocking it, right? It's like kind of in the way.
Blocking it. It's in the way, and it's basically harnessing the energy and reflecting the light, because the light is so much stronger. But a lot of people, Greg, are actually seeing and feeling like the sun doesn't look circular. It actually looks like a pattern. When you've had a special type of camera, you can get in there with a 700, 200 mil lens and stuff like that.
Well,
but apparently they have several of these. Yeah.
It's one of those things where if they could build a device that could go around the sun and capture its energy and direct it wherever they want it to go, why wouldn't they do that? You know?
Yeah.
And it's like they can turn it off, turn it on, turn it whatever, which way they want to go.
You know, you need the heat to be a certain temperature to start forest fires because you don't want to use direct energy weapons. That's one way they can do it, right?
Yeah,
they can make certain areas very, very hot. Again, it all comes down to that control of everything, right? And fear and control. And I just feel like, you know, most people don't know anything about this, and you can go online to NASA, as he was showing, and it's right there. And the patent, 1961. So that's when they got the patent. They're always 50 years minimum ahead with their technology.
Well, that's when they come out with the acknowledgement of like, hey, we have this stuff around. What do you guys think about this?
1992, they cloned a sheep. They were cloning people in World War I and II, from what I'm hearing.
Okay.
You know, oh yeah, that's another, hey man,
that's
another
what I'm
episode.
Saying. Yeah,
that's
we're going
another
there.
episode. But we can now, I think that's NASA's version of it would be that patent. But China came out with there. When I'll let you take over here, Greg, with the China simulator that costs $1 trillion for 17 minutes of sun.
Yeah, $1 trillion for 17 minutes of sun. So I got a couple articles here and in a video. This is the article that kind of talks about breaking the record, right? Mm-hmm. So China actually has this artificial sun. You were saying 17 minutes, 126 million degrees Fahrenheit, but it was like $1 trillion to do this.
Yeah.
Right? But I have this video that kind of talks about all of this stuff in a nutshell. This is from First Post, which is like an Indian broadcast. So I think I put it at like 1.25 speed, so it's not too, it's a 4-minute video. So here we go.
Yes.
Let's check this out.
It seems the world is revolving around artificial suns. From scientists to movie enthusiasts, people can't stop talking about them. Do you remember Dr. Octopus from
Look at this.
Spider-Man? He created an artificial sun. But when it got out of control, so did he.
Did you remember that?
Predicting programming. No, not until you just showed it. You know what I mean?
I totally forgot about that. He created his own sun.
He did.
Spider-Man. What?
Hopefully, real-life artificial suns won't be creating any supervillains. In fact, they might be the hero we've been waiting for. So what is an artificial sun? It's a huge machine which is capable of creating huge amounts of power. It takes hot plasma, which is a blazing combination of gases, and further heats it up to above 100 million degrees Celsius. To give you a rough idea, that's 10 times hotter than the core of the sun. This kind of heat is held in for as long as possible.
Look at this.
That's when loads of energy is released. Hopefully, one day scientists will
Looks
be
like a
able to
video
harness it,
game.
Right?
And we'll get to why that's important. But first, let's talk about a new feat in this technology. China has broken a record. More specifically, the experimental advanced superconducting tokamak, or EAST, has. It was able to confine the superhot plasma and keep its power high and stable for a whopping 403 seconds. That's about 7 minutes. It's quite the task, about 4 times the previous record of 101 seconds. This record was also held by China. It was set in 2017. So now, not only have previous records been shattered, the world has gotten close to making fusion reactors even better.
Right here, dude.
They use the same science as what happens on the sun, and it can give immense amounts of energy.
Fusion is taking two small atoms and putting them together. And in terms of the practicality of building a power plant, fusion has a number of advantages. It's much more inherently safe.
Fusion power is safe and clean. It doesn't produce radioactive byproducts. It doesn't even have harmful carbon emissions. It's also a near limitless energy source, so it can help us move away from fossil fuels. The materials used to make it are in abundance on Earth.
So fusion is one of those technologies which, if it could be harnessed, could be scaled up rapidly, to be deployed worldwide by 2050. And could make a very big difference to climate, to carbon emissions, and therefore to climate change.
So right there,
Carbon
climate
emissions.
change.
Right there.
See?
Right there. There it is. There's a WEF.
Yeah, Agenda 2050. So this is several decades away, but the ability to harness this is the issue. And I remember talking to Zach Voorhees, the Google whistleblower, and he was talking about cold fusion. It's kind of like the reverse of this. But
Right.
I mean, the fusion technology is, I think, the wave of the future for like this energy harvesting.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what these fake suns are doing. They're trying to recreate a nuclear fusion response.
Exactly.
You know, that's what they're doing. That's straight what they're doing, which, in the name of science thing, people, that's great, but it's not when we know who's in control of it. That's the problem,
the intentions, right?
The intentions.
So just to finish this video up, they're going to talk about the largest reactor in the world here. So check this out.
From 2050 onwards.
So this is clearly an exciting time for green energy. That's why many artificial suns are being tinkered with.
I think this is a very exciting time. People have been working on fusion for many decades. There's many milestones that are being reported in the last few years.
Last year, South Korea created an artificial sun.
South
The world
Korea.
is also building its biggest artificial sun in France, with inputs from India, China, US, Europe, Japan, Russia, and South Korea. It's reportedly the most expensive science project of all time. The world is collectively working towards fusion energy. This welcomes huge possibilities. And fusion experts say it won't be long before the world gets its unlimited source of energy.
So they're working on, basically, the whole world is working on this. They're working.
Yes.
It's like 35 different countries, and the world's largest fusion reactor. It's called ITET.
Yeah.
No,
How is France? How is France got the largest? That
Right?
shocks me. That shocks me because I've got China, I got South Korea, Japan, Russia, India, and the U.S. as several countries that are taking part in this project. I didn't know about France until you just mentioned it.
Yeah,
but
dude.
that kind of shocked me, being like the French. They have the money to do this.
Well, it's the world. The world is funding this. So it's like 35 different countries, and it's called the International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor, ITER, which ITER in Latin means the way or the path.
Right.
So it's like, this is the way, the whole frickin' Mandalorian, the whole just like, this is the way that we have to go. We have to go towards this green energy because, we gotta do it for the planet.
Yeah, it fits in with the New World Order type of feeling of everything has to be consolidated. Maybe at one point it's, countries are going to fight. If they eventually get this up there, which I believe they are, and they're testing it, that's a battle. We had a battle to the moon. We always have a battle to first nuclear reactors, battle with technology.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see countries eventually fighting over this because
sure, dude.
Whoever has control of the sun will have all the fun, right?
Yeah,
Literally. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, because there was a video. It was like it was in 2022 where people were saying, because there was like this whole China's testing out their artificial sun. And there were videos going viral that showed the artificial sun raising in the sky, you know what I mean? And burning super bright. And people were like, is this real? Is this not real?
I think I had that video here somewhere.
And I have no idea. I don't even know if that's real to this day. I don't think so, but.
That's a good point, Greg, because a lot of what's in front of us lately can be CGI, AI. But personally, I can feel the sun is different. I can't look at it. My skin had some reactions to it. After we're done here towards the end, we can show some videos of people watching the eclipse, and there's some weird stuff going on.
Yeah.
Like really weird, like, how did that happen? Almost like something manufactured is being placed in front of something else. And people's reactions were, woo, excited. And some people were like, wait, that doesn't seem right. That seems a little off. Because if it's off, there's a reason why it's off, right? Our spidey senses is telling us. It's telling us it's off completely. But I have here a video with this dude, what's his name? Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh, yeah.
So he's talking about in this video about the Dyson sphere
Okay.
to capture the sun and the energy and how they can build around it. Now he's talking very a matter of fact, like they've already done it.
Right? Yeah. Because this is the video that I think you sent over to me last night, and I was like,
yes,
yeah.
I found a video, and it says, "Did scientists discover alien megastructures?" In this video, there's that as well, but that again, I left that out because I think that could be a completely different topic.
Oh yeah, baby.
For another Strange Sauna about CERN, the reactor opening up that day, portals being part of the fake sun. We'll get into that afterwards, folks. That's a whole different show. Today, we just want to talk a little bit about what they're putting up and around the sun. So give me a second here. Let's do this.
I heard some things about a Dyson sphere lately.
Oh, boy.
What's up with that?
There's a new study that may suggest we are not alone.
A group of researchers say they've identified at least 7 stars that might be surrounded by super advanced alien megastructures known as Dyson spheres.
What if someday we could build a superstructure so big we could basically surround our sun and capture its energy directly?
Dude, that's what we're talking about.
That's it. Now I'm going to move to where he actually talks a little bit more about it. And it's pretty nonchalant, like, hell yeah, this is how we can do it.
Yeah, why not? Okay.
Like they've already, oh yeah, I would just do this and do that. So here we go.
And so, yeah, I tend to be a little more conservative about that. A friend of mine died a few years ago, Freeman Dyson, brilliant physicist. He came up with the idea of an entire sphere. So a Kardashian civilization type 2, they just simply have control over all of the energy of their host star. One way to do that is to build a sphere around it that completely encloses that star. So no energy escapes your detectors, your panels. It just needs to.
And remember, folks, the sun is a star. So when he's talking stars, he's talking about the sun here. If you're wondering, well, we're not talking about the sun, he is talking about the sun.
Yeah.
Indirectly.
Have the power to tap that energy for whenever it needed it, for whatever purpose. And you can imagine strips of panels. It wouldn't have to be the entire. Let some energy get out. If you needed it, maybe those panels can close up and open again, like those stadiums that open and close in the rain or in the hot sun. And there's no telling what inventions, what discoveries, what new understandings of the universe would unfold.
Dude, I love this. It's like it's glitching so bad, but it looks like he's dancing.
A type 0.
We see a strobe light.
Civilization. So that's what's up.
But I mean, he is definitely basically just saying, hey, we could enclose our star and put some barrier around it and harness the energy. But is the sun, was he kind of considering the strength of the sun and like the power of the heat and all that shit? Because how do you enclose it without everything melting?
Well, that's a good question.
And it's like,
I mean, personally, I don't think the sun is 93 million miles away. I think it's much closer. It's within our atmosphere. Am I a flat earther? Damn right I am. I'm telling you straight up. I don't believe that the sun's that far away. That's why I feel that they can do what they're doing and test it. And I feel, recently in the last 6 months before the eclipse, I was seeing a lot of storms happening, and I was with two of our Strange Sauna family members, Whitney and Mike.
Okay.
And we were watching a storm. Now, I thought I had this video, guys, folks. If I find it, I'll try to maybe send it to Greg while we're talking over it.
Hell yeah.
But it was a electrical thunderstorm, and he lives in Indianapolis area. And it was the freakiest thing we've ever seen. It was cloud. It looked like there was a light show going on, and it was just this.
Yeah.
It was just this. And thunder doesn't do that. And you couldn't hear anything. It was just lightning.
Okay.
It looked like a galactic war was going on above.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm starting to think, months later, now that we're talking about this, that could have been rockets or things they were sending up at that time to test it. Because how do you test this without people seeing it? You'd have to have cloud cover. And there was a lot of these really, really weird electrical storms where it looked like flashing strobe lights, it didn't make any sense. And we were thinking, oh, maybe the aliens are fighting us up top and they're using cloud to cover. That could be it too.
Did you hear any explosions or anything though?
No, you would hear kind of like a firecracker kind of rumble sound, but it wasn't thunder. And we watched this for 30 minutes, and it was on Telegram, and I just kind of pressed the button and we kind of watched it. And I don't think I screen grabbed it, but both Whitney and Mike would know for sure what we're talking about. It was like, because remember, NASA said they sent up rockets the day of the eclipse. There was a lot of weird stuff on the day. CERN was started again.
Yeah, dude.
But
like, why send up 3 rockets on the day of the eclipse? They're trying to capture some energy or trying to do something. Like, it's all symbolic, but then maybe it's not. Maybe they're trying to do something.
The rockets could have been carrying the last part of the machine they needed to put up there, the reflector. So what I'm thinking is they had to get pieces of it up there, and to do that, it's like when you go to the space station, don't even talk to me about that one, you're bringing things up in pieces. So I think rockets going up all the time under the masking of this clouds and really weird storms, because it just looked like multiple things going off, almost like way too many rockets could be firing at the same time to get up there, but they have to do it under. I mean, how do you put something in front of the sun without us noticing? That's what I mean.
Well, and if you think about
cloaking technology.
Well, yeah, and if you think about like the eclipse, it's brief, right? But if you have something stationed in space and you go, hey, zoom towards the sun, we need to put something around it, and it is much closer, right?
Yes.
Then if it is cloaked during that time, right, you don't have all that energy right in front of you. So you have kind of like a window to get your work done.
Yes.
Because like the sunlight is being blocked by, they say the moon, but it could be the black sun. It could be something else. Who the hell knows?
Yes, definitely. There is just very interesting stuff that was happening with our weather pattern 6 months before this happened. And the fact that the day of the eclipse, there were so many anomalies. Like they said no kids in school. They were grounding flights. They were worried about blackouts or solar flares or the internet going down. Again, that could just be their way to harvest energy, put people in some kind of fear. But why are you worrying about flights? Why are you worrying about taking kids out of school? It was very strange. There was just so much that went on.
Yeah, a bunch of emergency people put in place. You know what I mean?
And I'm kind of looking at it going, you're making something bigger than what it should be. And the path that it followed, it went through like 5 cities that were all named the same cities that we talked about earlier. A lot of it was sort of biblical. The other eclipse,
there was like Nineveh and Salem, all that shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And I just kind of looked at it being like, that would make the perfect time to, we're all looking up. Maybe some shit was going on behind because everyone was looking this way.
Dude, yeah.
And I used to be very good at magic, by the way, folks. I was a very good magician.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, yeah. So I would always like distract, look over here.
You were a magnet.
And that's what's happening now. The whole 4 years has been a bit of a distraction.
I get you.
I think outer space is a distraction from what's within our sun, our earth, and our water, our oceans. Again, that was another great episode, folks. Guys, we've got lots of episodes for you. Trust me, we've come up with about 5 different ones here.
There we go. Dude, yeah, we have tons of topics that we're going to cover.
Yes,
but,
exactly.
So what else do you have on as far as like the sun being artificial, fake, people noticing differences in the heat patterns?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna try to play this video on Instagram, see if I can get this right. And I saw quite a few videos, and when I went back to find them, a lot of them were removed, but I was able to get this one. Strange. So let me. Yeah, and the guy's reaction to this is what everyone was reacting to a little bit. So let me do this here.
Whoa. So this is during the eclipse.
Yes.
So it says, please watch till the end. That was not the moon exiting.
Watch very carefully.
Hey, NASA was supposed to shoot rockets at it.
Oh, boy.
Watch right here, folks.
So it's showing the eclipse.
Oh, wow.
But look at that.
Whoa, look at that.
That's not the moon.
No.
What's that all about?
Dude. That looked like another sun going behind it.
What the hell is that?
Yes.
Can you replay that? And then maybe just mute it. Because like it did look like something was circling around it, right?
So if you will watch it again, guys, when you watch this video, watch how there's a light behind the shadow and then another thing. It's almost like there's 3 objects here. So here's object 1. There's the sun.
Mm-hmm.
There's the moon. Now, supposedly, but what is this third thing that comes in, right? Here. And I saw many videos on this, and I couldn't find them anymore. But right now, you've got a third object coming in. This. What the heck is this? There's light emanating from behind the black circle, and then a big white thing in front.
You're right.
That is what I feel is what's right now in front of the sun.
Mm.
So I don't know if the black object
was actually the real sun.
Yeah, I'm not sure, guys. It is very, 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 very strange. And that was the best video I could find. But let me see if I can find something else here. And what people are noticing too is here's a really interesting video as well. This is from the eclipse as well. he makes a good point about focus and focal points. You know, so being in film, you notice how my background, guys, is blown out a little bit.
Yeah, blurry.
That's
a little.
because my new camera has got a special lens that will actually cause the focal point to come to the front and blurring out the background.
Okay.
Which you see in Hollywood movies. When you watch movies, they use these prime lenses. But in this video, folks, he talks a little bit about how both the sun and the moon are the same focus. You can see the outer edges of both of them in perfect focus, which is saying to us that the sun is not 93 million miles away, because you can't have this distance.
Yeah, it can't be the same focal point, right?
You can't be the same focal point.
Solar eclipse 2 days ago. As you can see, the moon and the sun are perfectly in focus, right? The sun is 93 million miles away, and the moon is 234,000 miles away. So the distance between the sun and the moon is 93 million miles away. But somehow both are perfectly in focus. Now take a look what's going to happen when a bird crosses the picture.
Oh, the bird.
Do you see? Do you see this?
Very
it's
blurry.
not sharp. The edges are not
as it should be
of the bird, right? Here you can see the edges are not sharp. So this is blurred out. This is not in focus, but the sun and the moon are in focus. How is this possible? This is a perfect example of how this works. This here is a focus, right? It's sharp, the edges are sharp, but the background is further away.
So he's talking literally what I just said now about the background being out of focus and the foreground being in focus in the background, which in the first video we just saw before that we replayed twice, even there, everything was in focus, which is telling us everything's within a proximal distance that it will stay in focus.
Let me ask you this, though.
Yes.
Could it have something to do with one is being lit and the other one is dark? Because the light was coming from the sun, but the moon, there's no light coming from that because it's blocking the sun. So could that mess with the focal point?
If you talk in the sense of me being in film, that wouldn't make as much sense because of the fact that it has to be a distance thing. You know,
okay.
The light for sure, but there has to be a distance. So look, my hand is in focus, out of focus or focus, and as I move it, it's almost like what I think this dude is saying is the sun is not 93 million miles away, which I don't think it is, because if it was, I don't think they'd be able to put up a sun simulator. They'd have to be able to get up and get in front of it, which in that first video, there was three things there. You had a light object, you had this dark object, and then you had this bright object moving in front.
Yeah.
Which to me, and I saw lots of videos like that, and I thought I saved them all. And honestly, Greg, I think a lot of them got taken down, and I was just kind of like, it's just very, very interesting how different that eclipse was to most eclipses.
Well, and then, I mean, to be fair, the videos could have been faked, right? It could be a fake video. Like, it's just one source, and it's one dude going like, what is this? What? But, I mean, this is kind of like how, like, I wish there was multiple people recording that and everybody had the same footage, or at least a different form of that. Because when it's just one person recording, and I get it, like, I wouldn't go record the sun with my phone, dude. I'd be like,
it would burn it.
No, I don't want to, like, you know. But some people do, and you know the people that do. And I just listened to this whole show. I sent it to you in text message the other day. That whole show, there's this guy who has his Telegram channel, and I got a lot of the videos off of his Telegram channel, and they're all about like the second sun. Like there's two suns.
Yes.
Right? Because like everybody's focusing on like this random two sun event.
Yes.
And he was saying he knows a way to kind of distinguish if things have been edited, because he used to do editing his whole life or something, right? Like film editing, photo editing. There's a quick and easy way that you can tell if something is a fake. And he didn't disclose what that was, because he's like, if I disclose that, then everybody's going to know what to do.
Right.
How to get around that and all of this stuff. So regardless, there's ways to identify, deep fakes, cheap fakes, whatever the hell you want to call them. But I do think that there's some genuine people out there who are shooting these things, and the reactions are, their intent is purposeful. It's like they want to seek knowledge. They're not doing this out of like clickbait. Like they actually want to record this and be like, what the hell is going on?
Right. And it's gotten to a point now where I think one of the main reasons they released this AI so quickly, and it just took off in the last year and a half, 2 years, is for things like this, because people are going to start to expose, and whatever is real, they're just going to say it's AI, or vice versa. We're in a very strange world now that nothing seems real. Like I could have literally seen two suns, film it, send it to you. I'm not messing with the video, but I go to post that online and someone's gonna be like, he's an editor, he messed with it, yada yada yada, the AI. So I think they're using this AI to get away with a lot of their lying, to say, hey, what's going on here? This seems a little fishy.
Yeah. Well, and we even talked about that with politicians or celebrities who do things with, God forsake, if they do things with children, if they do things that they're not supposed to do, and all of a sudden people go, oh, that's just a cheap fake, that's just a deep fake. Don't believe what you're seeing.
Which I think, if and when the Epstein stuff ever comes out, that's where they're going to say this was all AI. And then you're going to have all the people like ourselves that have been waiting forever for this to come out, and all the people that just wake up to it go, oh, you crazy right-wing people, it's all AI. So again, the AI is going to be used to debunk a lot of that stuff with the kids.
And they'll have like the mainstream media come out and say, hey, this was just AI. You'll have like experts be paid a lot of money to say it's AI. Okay. And then they'll go, I use these kind of digital blah, blah, blah. Looks like it's AI.
And there's these apps now that come out and say whether a photo or video is AI, like Kamala Harris coming out of the plane, all the people were AI'd because you saw no reflection in the plane, which is, as a film person, I would notice that, being like, where's the reflection of all the people on the outside of the fuselage and stuff like that. And then people are like, well, you can use this app to tell you if it's AI or not. Maybe, maybe not. I'm just saying, as experience, I've had issues with the sun since I've been out here. I've been getting welts, and like I can just have my feet. Remember, I'm covered up with a thin pair of socks and pants, and my feet. Next time it happens, I'll send you a photo, because it was brutal. It was just brutal, like as if it was magnified.
Jeez, dude. That's what
it felt like it was magnified. Okay. And a few people that I've talked to here in BC, I felt the same way. They live at the campground with their RV. They live year round on the campground. And they're like, yeah, it hasn't been the same this summer. And I was here last summer, and I do remember the sun being a little more orange when it set behind the mountains. I remember seeing it, and that's why I was like, I'm going to move here. It's beautiful out here. It looked like my lights behind me. Doesn't look like that now. I haven't had one evening.
And I'm wondering if like clouds, temperature, pressure, all that stuff makes a difference or difference on how the sun will set and what it depicts and all this stuff, right? Because I know, we get super cold mornings where the sunrises are freaking beautiful in Washington State. But it all just depends on the pressure in the sky. And, I'm not that smart when it comes to this stuff, so I'm like, maybe I don't know,
but when things don't feel right, they just don't feel right. Like there was just a lot that happened on that day. There's multiple videos of sunflowers turning away from the sun.
Oh yeah, that's another thing too.
I thought I had that video here somewhere.
But then you hear about Bill Gates putting metal particles in the sky to deflect the sun, and maybe that's causing something to reflect the sun or send it back down.
I would agree with that. He's talked about blocking the sun, and I feel with all the stuff they sprayed in the air, there's always this bit of this haze. Now here in BC, there's forest fires, so there's always a bit of a haze. But the sun, for a while now, I feel the last couple summers, even in Toronto, didn't feel blue, even on a clear day. even on a clear day. It was like this very, like my light here, instead of it being blue, it's like this. It was just like muted. And I'm noticing, like, when I'm looking outside now, because the sun feels so bright, like a LED bulb, it feels like everything's muted. And some of the people that I've talked to that live in the campground, they have little gardens. They just said the colors, the green on their gardens and the red and the green of the zucchini, it all looks muted.
You just brought up something that, like, the plants aren't growing as they should be.
No.
My in-laws have a beautiful garden. I mean, they have like a bunch of different stuff that they like just every year they would just grow it. Humongous zucchini, humongous freaking squash and all that stuff. Nothing this year.
Yeah.
Everything, the land is just dry. Everything's sucked out. So it's like hotter, or it's a different type of heat.
It's a different type of heat. And I feel like it takes the energy from you. When you used to go out in the sun and it was a nice day and you get that vitamin D, you'd have good energy. I feel most people now are feeling very tired. There's just very, very tired, always having headaches. You know, I mean, that can all be 5G towers. Like there's a lot that's gone on that could be attributed to that, you know, but I feel that too. Like I go for a walk, I wear my hat. I shouldn't wear sunglasses because it's good to get that vitamin D in, but I can't take the glare of the sun even off the pavement, even off the water. I got to be wearing these. This is what I'm going to be wearing. Like this.
There we go.
You know?
Yeah, he brought his, everybody just listening to this on audio. Flex has his fake sun reflecting glasses. So.
This is my fake sun reflecting glasses. These are my obnoxious glasses. But just even with when I go for a walk and I take the glasses off and I sit, I'm in the shade, and the way the sun is hitting off certain objects, even on a bit of an overcast day, it's just there's this intense heat to it. There's this intense sting to it. There's just a lot, and I have one more thing here, Greg. I forgot to mention, which is this lady talks about that in Belgium. They had the ESA in Belgium had a sun simulator happen to do a test on the same day
of the eclipse.
Of the eclipse.
What?
Yes. So I'll play the video, then I'll just go through the points of it. But it was launched on April 8th, and researchers use this. They use the American eclipse to test their hardware. So here we go. Let me, and I saw quite a few videos on this as well, which I found very interesting.
If this isn't disclosure, I don't know what is. I mean, I'm sure some people out there would just claim that this is just one giant coincidence.
Ooh.
But if you guys have been following me for a while, you know I've been saying that I do not believe that the April 8th eclipse was a naturally occurring eclipse for several reasons. And then this morning, my friend in Switzerland sends me this article. Let's take a look. Now, the article's in German, but I translated it. And the headline reads, Research with Artificially Created Solar Eclipses.
Oh, boy.
The article goes on to say that ESA in Belgium, which is one of the companies I was sharing around the world that have sun simulators, they presented 2 probes just last week that could, and I quote, artificially create solar eclipses if desired, unquote. Okay, and this gets better. You can't make this shit
This is right up your alley, Greg.
The 2 space probes' names are Occulter
What?
and Coronagraph.
Yes.
And it just so happens that last week they tested out their Occulter and Coronagraph space probes. The research team says that the pair of space probes will align so closely with the sun that the Occulter will cast a shadow on the Coronagraph, thus creating an artificial solar eclipse. And if that isn't enough, the article goes on to say that the scientists will use the North American eclipse to test the hardware developed for their mission of their 2 space probes, named Occulter and Coronagraph, that create artificially created solar eclipses. Again, I'm telling y'all, that was not natural yesterday.
It was not.
That's nuts, dude. I had no idea. So which country was that? Like Germany? Belgium.
In Belgium, yeah. And it's just, I felt like so many countries were, listen, you're not going to let anything go to waste. We all know that these people don't let something good or bad go to waste. So they were like, hey, we're going to throw some rockets up there. CERN was like, we're going to start the CERN collider. Belgium is like, we're going to have a little Belgium chocolate and throw some probes up there.
Yeah, we're going to simulate this thing.
There's just too many things that happened on that day that, again, it's all online. Like all these articles are online. I don't feel this stuff is faked because they even said we're going to send up rockets. We are going to restart the CERN collider. Even Alex Jones had talked a little bit about how it was a ritual, and again,
it is, man. It feels like a ritual because
they're not. Yeah,
you look
they're not
at
going to let any of that go to waste.
Yeah, you look at what eclipses meant back in the day, and like the king kill ritual or the substitute king ritual, where they would hide the king from any eclipse, whether it be a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse, because it was bad juju. And then you have just sun worship in general. Like what happens if you worship the sun and something blocks it? That's a bad omen. So it's like, all of these things kind of fit together. I don't think any of that religion went away.
No.
I think a lot of it is hidden from the public sight because it's not welcomed. But, it's probably why these people do these things is, NASA is completely occult, like driven from the occult nature of Jack Parsons, the frickin' Babylon working ritual, all this stuff.
Yeah. The NASA logo is the serpent without the tongue and the eyes.
Yeah.
And NASA is Satan without the T. And I know people will be like, come on, but I'm going to look at people straight in the eye and like, no, you come on, folks. Like at this point, there's too many coincidences in things not adding up where, we know our food's being messed with. We know their water's being messed with. They're messing with our kids' minds in school. They messed with us if you took the what.
Yeah.
They're messing us up with the left and right. And it's the same thing.
And you brought up flat Earth, right? Because they could be messing with you with flat Earth. And this is like a good segue, I think, into the two sun theory, right?
Yeah.
Because the theory that I heard, and I'm going to play a video on this, is that we have a real sun that we don't really see. And then that is that's shooting the light towards, it's a projector towards whatever is illuminating the light. So it's like the light from the real sun is hitting this like bubble. If it's the firmament, right? The dome. Yeah. Causing it to make what we know is the sun, right?
Right.
Well, here's an article coming from this, Harvard Smithsonian. Planets with double suns are common. Okay, this was back in 2012, telling you it's common to have two suns. All right. Now, in 2011, you had China defying the explanation of this two suns that were spotted in the sky. Weeks after the story was shot across the web, claiming imminent explosion of a nearby star with blah, 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 right? So they're claiming that it was an explosion of a nearby star. But look at this. This was all over the internet in 2011 or all over the news, I guess, back in 2011. Then this is China again in 2023. Now look at this video. This two bright suns seemingly appear in the sky over China in a rare phenomenon. And no one knows what the heck to say about this.
And this is years before the sun simulator, like they hadn't done. So this is not the sun simulator. This is literally two suns.
Yeah. So, you have this circle right below the bright thing that we call the sun. So you're seeing the two suns. There's many, many more videos explaining or showing people with two suns. But what I do want to show you is this video of this guy. I don't know what it's, Flat Earth Dave, I guess his name.
Yeah,
Flat Earth Dave.
I've seen a few things on this guy. But going back to that last video, if you go back for 1 second, yes, I'm looking at, because again, I'm a film person, I'm looking at the two flares as the camera's moving.
Yep. Yeah, down at the bottom of the screen, you clearly see the flares.
Yes. You can't fake that like that. because it's moving in the same way the car is moving, and if he's pointing up. Anyways, thanks for bringing it back up, because that's something I noticed was the flares.
Yeah, man. Well, and so one of the things that I did want to share is this one video of Flat Earth Dave, okay? Because he kind of is explaining this whole experiment of, he does his own experiment actually, of how this would work if you have the real sun somewhere behind, the firmament, and it is casting this light and it's being projected on this dome or this fabric.
Yeah.
That
he's using almost like paper towel here to show his, it's very interesting.
So check this out. This is how it's possible. And it really like blew my mind. So let's listen to this.
Did we talk about this, the rear projected sun?
Go run us through it again in case people are. I know I'm gonna have a huge audience over here that's gonna be all about this eclipse thing. So run us through the whole thing. I'd love to see it. Show us that one too if you get time where you were throwing like the thing behind the thing. This might be it.
This is it. So
okay,
this is a real eclipse. This is the 2017 eclipse, and I filmed it. This is me filming it, and I don't want to say luckily, but there was some fog in the sky, something that might have come out of the back of an airplane accidentally, right? But which made the sun very easy. It dimmed it just enough where it wouldn't blow out your camera. So I was able to film it. Okay. And so I watched this eclipse. This is probably it got a little bit more than this. And then that was it. It wasn't in totality. One, we can't see the moon. And two, where the heck is the moon? So this is my model eclipse. I have a paper towel hanging. And on the other side of the paper towel, I have a source light focusing on this, and I have a Snapple bottle cap eclipsing it, blocking some of the light.
So everybody just listening to this, he created like a crescent moon. So he has a flashlight sitting on his couch. He held a paper towel, and then he has the camera on the other side of the paper towel so you can see the light shining through. And then he has a Snapple bottle cap coming through. Which I'm like, who drinks Snapple now? I mean, come on. Like, what is this?
I was just thinking that too.
1998?
So 1990s, bro. So 1990s.
So here we go. And he's comparing the model crescent moon to the actual eclipse, okay?
They look the same. Big deal.
Very much.
Right? Okay. So this is comparing them. Very interesting. So I'm about to show you. This is an eclipse. This is about 90% eclipse. And you can't see the eclipse because it's so bright, it's blowing out the lens. But if you put a pair of sunglasses on, you'd be able to see it. But this is how much the sun is eclipsed. Now, this is a lens flare. That's a lens flare. But this thing is not moving with the camera. It's locked in position with the sun.
Yes.
What is that? What are we seeing here? Right?
Yes.
And I say, I think that's the real sun, and this is the sun that we see. Right? This is not a lens flare. This is a lens flare.
Yeah, so the thing that he's pointing out with the arrow there does not move. When the camera moves, this thing does not move. It's locked, right? So that's a clear way to see what a lens flare is.
It didn't move like the video we saw before. Just before this, as the camera moved, it moved. This, guys, folks, is just stationary. It's locked in.
Yep. So here we go. Watch this. This will blow your mind.
Right? So jump forward a little bit here. So here's my paper towel eclipse. Now, you don't see the thing that's eclipsing it because there's no light coming off of it. So here's my source light.
Flashlight.
And here's my eclipse. And you don't see it coming in or eclipsing it. You just see the effect of it.
Yeah.
Right? You with me?
With you,
so
bro.
now it's exiting, and no one has ever seen the moon exit the eclipse. It just moves away, and you can see. Now I said, you know what? What if the sky is more transparent than my paper towel? Which I think it is. And so I got a piece of toilet paper, tissue paper, and here I'm looking through the tissue paper here. This is the source light, and this is what we're seeing. This is what we're seeing. That's the source light. That's the projector. This is the sun that we see, and compare that to the real thing.
Yeah, so essentially that thing that wasn't moving in the prior photo, he recreated that.
Yes.
Where you had the source show up because he used a more transparent fabric.
Yes.
right? And he's basically recreating what I think is happening. You have this transparent fabric. If the whole flat Earth thing is real, you have this dome that has a transparent fabric. You have your source light behind it, which is this little sliver back here, shining this bright light, and it's reflecting off of the dome, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he just did in this whole presentation here.
Yeah. Yeah. Using some kind of fabric, paper towel, and a bottle cap from Snapple.
Right.
So now imagine the technology NASA and them have.
Yeah, I know, right?
If he can recreate it this way, just imagine. Just imagine.
But this is also something that I found interesting is that you have these ancient drawings in an Indian cave of two suns. Right? So you have
yes.
You have these it sparks this whole debate. This was back in 2018. But this was an ancient cave drawing apparently unearthed in 1969, and it was dating back to 4500 BC. And this was the Minack or the Burzahome archaeology site. So it's like this. There was a video down here that got deleted, but essentially, this is a 4,500-year-old drawing on this rock that depicts two suns, and they're blaming it on a what is it? When something blows up, like a solar when a star
Solar
blows up,
flare, or a like a
supernova.
Nuclear fusion explosion.
So
supernova.
scientists are trying to say that it's the world's largest supernova, and I'm like, baloney, dude. So check this out. I have another drawing here. So this is Burzahome, the Stone Age Kashmir. All right, and it's this large frickin' rock, but it has the drawing on it. Let me see if I have a different drawing of it. Yeah, look at this.
Yep.
So you had two different suns, but look what's in the middle. There's a dot in the middle, like you were saying a while ago, that people are noticing a black dot in the middle of the sun.
Yeah, yeah.
Why are they drawing a circle inside of the sun on both of these?
Yeah. Interesting.
You know? And,
Very interesting.
Science will say that it's a supernova. Science will say that the two suns effect is something called a sundog, which is this atmospheric phenomenon caused by the refraction of sunlight with ice crystals when it's really cold outside, and you'll get like this kind of halo.
Mm-hmm.
But these are not those, dude.
No.
So I wanted to kind of like walk through some of these videos and photos on Telegram.
These are crazy.
The double suns, dude. Yes. I mean, this one clearly has two reflections. Now, this could be edited, could be AI, but the guy who I got this from was vetting these. He's like, I only keep the stuff that I think is real on my channel. Like, if it's fake, I'll delete it, and I'll tell the person why.
So, Greg, which one do you think is the real sun? The one that's just over the horizon, or the one that's up in the air?
Well, based on that experiment, it would be the one just right down here.
Or are they both
shining.
real suns? I shouldn't say fake. I don't think these are both real, I believe. But I'm thinking, do they both take turns? Which one's more prominent than the other, depending on how the Earth moves?
Or maybe they orbit each other. Who the heck knows?
Yeah.
Because you were saying like that one video where you had the eclipse sun go behind this bright sun, right?
Yeah. Interesting.
So here's some more. Here's a video.
And could people be thinking that's just it reflecting off the moon because people just don't want to think outside the box and always have to feel...
Yeah, like that's clearly not the moon.
No.
That is way too big to be the freaking moon. Unless, who the heck knows, dude?
Yeah.
But like in this video, you have a guy, like the camera's moving. So it's clearly not a lens flare because it would be moving too. You had a guy run through. You have the water moving. So there's a lot of movement in this video.
Mm-hmm.
This one here, I think this is two suns setting. Here, I can just mute that. So we'll zoom in and you can see another sun behind the clouds. In the, you know what I mean?
Which is not casting a reflection, so it feels like it's much further away.
Uh-huh. And then check this one out, dude. This one, you can't really see two suns, but what a frickin' gorgeous
that's a
view.
blob.
Yeah, that's like
a blob. That looks like looks like oval. So it looks like the two suns are very close to each other. Instead of them being like this, they're like this, because that looks oval.
Yeah, look at this one, dude.
Yeah.
And I mean, you clearly have like one behind the clouds, and people can say, you know, this does look fake. It kind of does. So it's like, how can you really prove that we have two suns? And here was a thermal image that guy took.
Yeah. Does he say what part of the world most people are seeing these from? Like, is it like somewhere closer to the equator, someone closer to Antarctic Circle? Because
I think it's all over the place, man. There's a lot of,
because I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, there's a lot of
person.
videos coming from Iran, surprisingly, and a lot coming from just different parts of the world, dude. Here was one at night where I was like, how can it be the sun at night? And it looks like two moons, honestly.
Yeah, because it's got a bit of a blue tinge to it.
I mean, look at that. And, you know, it's like,
there's the lens flare. You see the two lens flares again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's a picture. You see, like, what would be the source light in the back, and then what we see is the sun below the bridge. You know, it's just, there's tons and tons of these.
If this is the case, which is the one that's 93 million miles away?
It would probably be the real sun casting this burn hole in our...
Burn hole.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe that's why they're trying to send these rockets up, dude. They're trying to pierce the firmament.
Oh, they've been trying for years.
Right?
They've been trying for years.
I mean, there's there's so many videos.
Wow, look at that.
This.
And there's always the one that's closest to the cameras, a lot brighter, obviously, but almost like, see, the first one's giving us that glare, that sun ray.
Yep.
And I think most people who don't want to think outside the box with any of this will be like, oh, that's just the moon. But it's not. It's not. It clearly doesn't look like the moon. It's circular, but one's always just slightly behind it. For those that can't see it on video. And what I find interesting, what I'd like to know, what interests my attention, on this would be, where are they being seen mostly? Which part of the world? Because I ain't seeing this in BC. I'd love to see this in BC, because I'd be the first to take photos and send it to Greg. Told you, man. We were right, man. We were right.
Well, yeah, and he was calling it Nemesis, and I mean Planet X, Nibiru. People are saying that that's what it actually is. It's like another planet that's coming back. Look, North Dakota, March 23rd, 2023.
Of last year, yeah. And when I was doing my research, one of the notes I put down was the sun simulator is set in front of the sun, and part of it's the Hyde Planet X. And I didn't go down that rabbit hole because I think there's a whole, the black sun, Planet X.
But look, here's the solar flare up at the top. You know? So I'm just... It's one of those things.
Like the lens flare off the lens. See right there.
Look at this one. Like, they're very, very digital looking, right? And it could just be his camera sucks, but there was one though in particular that I did want to show you, and it has to do, this one right here, where you can literally see the two suns through the trees. Watch, they zoom in, and look, you can see two different suns, and they're both behind the trees. So how does that happen? If it's a lens flare, it would not do that, right?
Yeah.
Like the shadow of the leaf is in front of...
Yes.
So what is going on here, people?
That's interesting. It looks like the one sun is in front of the tree.
Kind of, yeah, because it's so freaking bright.
It's so bright, and the one behind is behind it. Because I've personally seen the clouds behind the sun when I used to chill on my back porch, and I saw it years ago before I got into any of this. And that's where I'm like, there's no way the sun can be that far away if clouds can be behind it. And I've seen photos of it, but I have personally seen clouds behind the sun. I remember just sitting there and I remember being like, oh, that's pretty cool. And a couple of years later, when I got into all this, I was like, do I have a photo of that? I hope I have a photo of that. But yeah, it's just like, if there's clouds behind the sun, that means it's in with our atmosphere.
Yeah, just to give you guys a heads up of the guy's channel, Yow USA Observations. So YOW USA Observations. And just tons of people go on here and they submit their photos to this guy and they say, hey, let me know what you think.
And there's tons.
Absolutely tons.
And a lot of clear images and clear video where I respect that, because it's always like, why is the camera always, it's like the security cameras when you're watching a crime show and they're like, we got to find out who did this. And it's always in 240p.
Yeah, right.
Instead of 1080.
Dude, so I don't know.
These.
I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of video evidence out there and it's like Bigfoot. You know what I mean? It's so hard to deny it because so many people have seen it and they're providing, better footage than Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So I don't know. To me, this is definitely one of those things that it could be a possibility that we do have two suns, and that would make me believe the flat earth thing a little bit more. I'm not quite there yet.
Oh, you're not? Uh-oh.
I'm not quite there yet, but hey.
I'll get you there.
Okay. Yeah, like I just haven't done a lot of research in it, man. So I'm just saying.
I just look at things. I use a little discernment and I just look at, listen, I lived in Australia and I wasn't hanging upside down. Sorry, folks. That's how I look at it.
You weren't like a wombat or anything?
No, I wasn't no bat hanging upside down. I wasn't getting headaches. Does gravity really exist? Who knows? There's so much. There's so much to go down.
But when you flushed the toilet, the water did go the other way, right?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't remember that.
Right on, dude. Well, hey, do you have anything else that you want to share before we get out of here?
No, I think that's it. I went through all my notes. We're good.
Man. Yeah, that was.
I think we got people thinking a little bit here, which is what we try to do, so to think outside the box a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, folks, because when you're open to things, sometimes you go down rabbit holes and you end up getting a little lost a little bit. But this stuff here that we talked about today is pretty straightforward. China, all these countries are doing it. They had all these experiments going on that day. They had the CERN collider. We didn't get into detail about that, but that was being fired up that day. Videos of the eclipse looking a little weird. I only had one video on that, but I did have a couple videos and they went missing somehow. I'll see if I can find them, and if they do, I'll send them to Greg.
Dude, no, I think we're onto something, because the artificial suns are being generated. They're being created for something. Like, I think they already have the way to harness this energy. They're just not telling everybody. They're probably using it. Yeah, they're probably using it for their spacecraft or their aircraft right now. But
yeah.
I just think that this is going to be something that they really, really push in the future. And I think that it might be something that they try to do underground. I'm thinking that if we have an artificial light source that's not as, it can be as powerful as the sun, but it's not as widespread. Like, you can localize it in a room and you can just go plug into it and get your juice and walk away. You know what I mean?
So my thing before we go here, politically thinking, if certain people get in November, do these certain people, Trump, do they reverse all this? Does he say to Space Force, hey man, or NASA, we're taking the simulator down? Like, cause I have to look at it like he must know that they're messing around with shit that's harming people and crops.
Yeah, I haven't heard him talk one lick about this. So he's just talking about drill baby drill, which is like the antithesis of solar energy, right? So
yes,
you definitely do want to see what he's all about, right?
Yes.
So the question remains. But hey, I enjoyed this episode, man. Thanks for coming with all these freaking videos. It was awesome. And then, if everybody likes this show, make sure to rate, review on Apple, Spotify, Leave a comment, like on YouTube and Rumble. Go over to Rumble. If you're watching this on YouTube, go over to Rumble. That's where we're going to be primarily hosting our shows, because YouTube, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time.
No, it is. I mean, and we're not talking about really conspiratorial stuff here, and they could just easily say, nope, we don't like you. So
exactly.
No, we don't.
Right on, brother. Well, hey, I had a blast, and everybody, until next time, we'll see you next week. Stay steamy.